Welcome to Strength for Today for January 23rd. God's perfect timing. Let's look at Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1, I may read a couple extra verses for you. It's so good. A time for everything. There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. I love to dance. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather them. A time to embrace and a time to refrain. A time to search and a time to give up. A time to keep and a time to throw away. I should probably throw away more things. A time to tear and a time to mend. A time to be silent and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. GPT, God's perfect timing. In the days of American railroad travel, nothing was more important than the timepieces kept by engineers. These pocket watches had certain operating specifications that allowed for exactness and accuracy, even if damaged or jarred. Didn't know that, did you? If the train operators didn't have synchronized watches, disaster would ensue in the form of train collisions. Many times we think God isn't aware of how deep our troubles are, but sometimes the problem is that our timetable is not synchronized with His. God has a time for everything and a moment for every purpose He ordains. He knows the right time to be born and to die, to plant and to reap, to laugh and to mourn, to keep and to give away, to work and to wait. And that waiting is hard for all of us, isn't it? Through prayer and the truth of Scripture, we can gain a better sense of GPT, God's perfect timing. I love that, GPT, God's perfect timing. Don't you love that? Turn to Him and rest in His presence and the knowledge that nothing is beyond His sight. Develop no fret waiting. Oh, I love that. Backing that one up. Develop no fret waiting. That's a good one. I'm going to work on that. Poet J.J. Lynch said, His wisdom is sublime, His heart profoundly kind. God is never before His time and never is behind. I really like that one a lot. GPT, God's perfect timing, and it's so true. So often we're in that waiting period and we're like, God, really? I'm waiting. We had to wait for kids. I had 2 miscarriages and it took a long time to get pregnant with Rebecca. Then it took a long time to get pregnant with Josh. But through all that waiting, I just learned to trust Him more. You do learn in the waiting. And I'm sure that you have examples too of times when you've had to wait. And I'm going to back up and read this one line again. Many times we think God isn't aware of how deep our troubles are, but sometimes the problem is that our timetable is not synchronized with His. And just like those train engineers, right, with those watches, they had to be perfectly synced because back then they didn't have cell phones or radios or anything like that. And if one train was coming and didn't pull over like it should and wait for the proper time and the other one come by, they would have a collision. So the same thing with us. We may think, God, you don't know my troubles. You don't know how deep and how sad I am right now. But He does. And He has the perfect timetable. And no matter what you're going through, and right now I'm kind of going through kind of a really sad time, but I know that God is going to do something with this. And I know that on the other end, it's going to be for His glory somehow. So I encourage you, my friends, to just wait and be patient. And I love that. I'm going to try that no fret waiting. I really like that a lot. Just be joyful while we're waiting and just keep your eyes on Him because He has the perfect timetable and He's not going to let us crash into something, right? He has the perfect watch. It's going to be exactly in sync with what we need. So trust Him today, my friend. I'm trusting Him. And try that no fret waiting. I'm really going to work on that. I hope you do too. Have a good day, trusting God, not fretting while you're waiting, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. You can order your own copy of Strength for Today by Dr. David Jeremiah by going to davidjeremiah.org or calling Turning Point at 877-998-0222. And I would like to answer any question you may have about faith in Jesus. Just email me through my website, nancyjoytoyou.com. I hope you lean on God's strength and have a fantabulous day.